Hey, grace and peace, everybody. Welcome to Berean TV. We're at it again. Sunday Seminary, we're starting up a new class, what the New Testament is all about now. Because of a series of videos that I've recently been putting out, a lot of people have been inquiring about the Sunday Seminary, and I wanted to explain certain things to the students that are in there and those that are coming in, that in all actuality there's two classes. One class that we have, we're already, I believe it is in maybe like the 6th week we're going on, and that has to do with the pineal gland. That's pineal gland, or DMT, the spirit molecule. We're dealing with Rick Strassman's book and DMT, and the pineal gland, opening of the third eye chakras, and is it biblical? We're looking at it in light of Bible. And from an orthodox perspective, not an esoteric Christian or a Gnostic perspective, and we explain all of those things. But that's kind of the advanced class. We have some seminarian students, we have some pastors in there, and we don't really advise that class for individuals that don't know certain things. You might have been a believer for a while, but if you don't know what the synoptic gospels are, if you don't have a proper working understanding of other things that we believe that's important first, like especially dealing with apologetics, the Nicene Council. There's so much foolishness on the internet about the Nicene Council. So we don't recommend that class first if you don't understand, if you don't have a working foundation of the Bible, knowing the difference between prophecy and what's an apocalyptic or the book of Revelation as opposed to the gospel, different genres within the scriptures. And so we recommend the other class, what the Bible is all about. That's a class we were teaching a few months back, what the Bible is really about. And in that we explain the various books of the Bible, how the Bible is broken down, the transmission of the Bible, variant readings in different manuscripts of the Bible. We explain Nag Hammadi, what's apocrypha, what's non-canonical books, what is the canon, and those are things that we recommend you have to understand before we go on to those other things. But you may see some people that are in both classes, or that have joined the other class and they just want a refresher course on the first thing. But we recommend that you get involved in that, what the Bible is really about. We're going to be focusing heavy on the conscious community and an introduction of who's who, the main players in the conscious community and their various doctrines that they teach in light of Scripture. And we teach that it all goes back to the serpent talk. It's all Luciferian serpent talk, or whatever you want to call it, from the story of Genesis, however you want to look at Genesis, allegorical, metaphorically, or from a literal standpoint. And we speak about all those and those trains of thought. Recently, there's been, the last couple of years, there's been a few people, Polite, Young Pharaoh, and others that have taught the doctrine that the black woman is God. Is the black woman God? Clarence 13X, is the black man God? Shirley MacLaine and others, the New Age movement, are all people God? Can you evolve into God? Are we gods here going through a learning experience before we can go back and rule on our individual planets? And we'll speak about a lot of that stuff, but it all goes back to Genesis. You shall be as God, knowing good and evil. So we're going to speak about that. We're going to bring out various doctrines and how they differ from Scripture. We're going to explain, we're going to speak a lot about the Nicene Council, Constantine, and a lot of frauds that are out there. A lot of people say, well, or fraudulent thoughts that are out there. And a lot of people would say certain things like, well, where did the New Testament come from? We have to deal with conspiracies. Why do we have to deal with conspiracies? A lot of people say you don't understand the family, the Roman family, and Josephus and others that actually wrote the New Testament. We're going to see if that stands in the light and in scrutiny, or if it can stand under a light. A historical light. Is it right and exact? Is it accurate? We're going to introduce you to the center of New Testament manuscripts, so you don't have to listen to what you hear on the internet and Facebook and certain people saying on YouTube. You can call, you can email them from yourself, and you can be up to date on the newest manuscripts. You can understand the differences between the Bible and the Quran. And another reason that we're really doing this is because you must understand that we're living in a different time. There are a lot of people that they're very religious, but they're not biblically illiterate. They're not literate. They don't really know scripture. They don't know, they can't quote scripture. They don't know the history of scripture and transmission of scripture and how it came down. But because of certain things like textual criticism, there are certain things that New Testament scholars, that biblical scholars have brought out, and unbelievers or people that we would call secularists, they're using it against people in the church. Oh, you should take up serpents. Oh, did you know that wasn't even in the latter part of the Gospel of Mark? You have Muslims that are telling Christians this, and Christians don't know that. Oh, 1 John 5 and 7, there are three that bear record in heaven. Do you know those aren't in the oldest manuscripts? And you have secular people or people that aren't Christians that's bringing out things to Christians that's surprising to Christians, and they are Hebrews, and they might have never heard it within their congregation. So we're going to speak on variant readings. We're going to speak on certain passages, and we just want to equip the believer, because there are people out there, they know more of the Bible than you as a believer. So we just want to help y'all out. And I just wanted to drop this specifically for the Sunday Seminarian students and those that are going to come in. We're going to talk about the J and the Hebrew language, a little bit about that, because there's certain people that's making a mountain out of a molehill. His name couldn't be Jesus because J didn't exist. The J is only 400 years old, and they think they're talking some heavy scholarly stuff. But in all actuality, we were the ones that brought that out. When you start dealing with manuscripts in John 8 and the woman that got caught in adultery, we're the ones that brought that out, that's not in the oldest manuscripts that we have in existence. And we're going to explain all of that stuff to you. So I'm looking forward to hearing from y'all. It's going to be exciting. Class is jumping. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I like to explain to people that you don't have to be a historian if you understand timelines. We're going to explain timelines, and we're going to show you how so many people in the conscious community have made mistakes dealing with history because they don't understand timelines. I often hear people, Alexander the Great. When Alexander the Great and the crackers, that's the terminology that they use, and the crackers came into Egypt, they took over and they stole the mysteries. We're going to speak about Stolen Legacy from Brother James and a couple of other books. But I often, almost everybody that I ask in the conscious community, when Alexander the Great came in and took over, who was running the show at the time? And they can't answer that. We have to understand it wasn't even original Egyptians that were running the show at that time. If you like what you heard, subscribe. Y'all can get in touch with me at BereanTeach@gmail.com. And class is going to be exciting. Class is going to be heavy. We're going to start this Sunday. It's going to be 6 o'clock. The newest class is going to be 6 o'clock in the evening. And we have the other class, we start like on 3:30, 3:45. We're going to try to go an hour and a half each class.